Hello and welcome back into my channel for another video today, everybody. We will be covering anime, which is something I've been wanting to talk about on the channel for a long time, as it's something that I enjoy very deeply and it is one of my biggest hobbies. So if you do like the video, make sure to leave it a thumbs up and possibly consider subscribing if it, moves you that much, as it does really help the channel grow and you can get more anime content in the future. So obviously, due to worldwide circumstances with, the pandemic and everything, content binging and, finding new series to watch is at an all-time high. And honestly, anime was already peaking and growing in popularity across the world. And now, because of the pandemic and everybody kind of being locked inside and trying new content out, it's becoming even more and more mainstream, which obviously is great to see. More people enjoying what I consider to be some of the best television out there. But while there is a lot of great anime out there that covers all sorts of different topics and genres, there's a lot of different itches that need to be scratched, right? But I think there's still some stereotypes that prevent people from approaching the genre. So I figured that I would pitch 3 series today that are all currently under 20 episodes that are approachable for just about anybody in your life. So if you're new and looking to try and get into anime, or if you're somebody who is experienced with anime that wants to get new people into it, whether that be your friends, your family, anybody like that, or if you're just looking for something refreshing to unwind with and kind of just relax to, these are some series that I definitely think you should consider. So, without any further ado, let's jump into the first anime I want to talk about today. Now, the first series I want to talk about today is called Gamers, and it is currently a 12-episode series based off of a light novel by the same name by Sakina Aoi, and it's an easy watch. If you're in the mood for a teenage rom-com sort of story, this is a really good show for you. I actually originally started watching this series, based on a suggestion from a great Mother's Basement video, which I'll link in the description if you want a little bit more information. He goes a lot more in depth than I'm going to, but the series follows a group of high school gamers, which, obviously, hence the title there, as they navigate the everyday world of high school crushes and relationships. Now, honestly, I cannot understate how funny the interactions between the characters in this show are, because as you as you watch more, you come to find out that a lot of the situation these characters find themselves in are all self-created, because everybody knows this. Like, even if you're not a gamer, the show can hit home on an emotional and comedic level, because we've all been in high school. We've all been young and still kind of figuring out what being in a relationship is all about and all that sort of great stuff. And that's sort of like, they're complicated, right? No one really knows what they're doing at that age. So a lot of comedy comes from the interaction between the 5 main characters in this sort of relationship pentagon, I'll call it. And it gets so confusing at one point that even one of the characters drawing it out is trying to draw it out and figure out what's going on. And what makes it hit home for me, and I'm not going to spoil anything here, but what makes it really hit home for me is that a lot of the conflict in the show, a lot of like the internal monologues and stuff, it could all be avoided if the characters were just, to open up about their feelings with one another and kind of say what they were thinking or say what they were feeling. And it just makes the show kind of hit you close to home in a way that, like, as you grow up, as you move forward in life and have more relationships with new people, and you come to find out that the best way to handle these sorts of things is through honesty and just being open with one another. But obviously in high school, especially if you're a shut-in gamer type, you don't know how to handle these things. And so it's the comedy that comes from that kind of premise is so good and so pure, I would say. It's just such a very refreshing show to watch. I really, really highly recommend it. All of the main characters are funny in their own right. They all have a bunch of different stuff going on. I can't recommend Gamers to you enough. Next up is a show that quickly became a personal favorite of mine, and that's going to be called Keep Your Hands Off of Izukin, which is also only 12 episodes and is based off of a manga of the same name, written and illustrated by Sumito Owara. And if this anime doesn't hook you right off the bat with its opening sequence, I'd be shocked, because personally, it is one of my favorite OPs in any anime that I've ever watched. It's just the song is catchy, the visuals are great, but more so into the series, you get to join Asakusa, Kanamori, and Mizuzaki as they work together to produce anime through their school's film club. The thing that really jumps off the screen for this show for me is the distinct personality of each of our three main girls in the show and how they all play so well off of each other. So Asakusa is kind of the imaginative, energetic type. She's kind of the engine that drives the ship, I would say. But she doesn't do very well in social situations at all, and is terrified of asserting herself or coming off as rude or anything. But luckily for her, her best friend Kanamori, who is the tall-looking girl with the funny-looking mouth that they draw, she is not afraid to assert herself to get what she wants, in most cases, which is money or resources to help their club become successful. Kanamori is assertive, serious, but she does have a soft side when it comes to her pals, whether she likes to show that or not. And then finally, you have Mizusaki, who is kind of, the bubbly, like stereotypical up-and-coming model. But what makes her more of a deeper character is that she's driven for her love of in-depth animation. And they kind of stress that as you watch the show, that she's like very into the technical aspect of creating anime, and she comes from a family of actors, from what it seems like throughout the show. And so she has that performative nature at heart, but where her parents kind of express that performance on the stage, she wants to show that performance. And like they call it a couple times, it's like her acting is through her animation. So you get those three kind of different personalities and different skill sets in the mix, and it comes out to be honestly one of the funniest and most joyful experiences I've had watching a single show in a really long time. And again, I don't want to spoil too much of it, but this show is just jam-packed with great moments. You can feel the passion the three girls have for completing their projects, and you get to see how their different styles and personalities mesh and come together to form a serious animation studio out of what is a rundown, beaten-down old club room at their high school. So some of my favorite sequences throughout the show are Asakusa and Mizusaki kind of letting their imaginations run wild, and Kanamori is obviously always the one trying to rein them in a little bit and focus on the things that they can actually get done with their small production team, and like kind of reminding them of all the hard work that they have to do like with what's in front of them. So I think that really, if you're looking for a show that explores creativity, friendship, and the hard work that it takes to create, beautiful artwork with honestly some of the funniest comedic elements in any anime that I've seen, I really, really highly recommend Keep Your Hands Off Izukin for that and that alone. So really great show. Let's move on to the final show in our recommendations here. And finally, I'm going to talk about the longest running and most mainstream, I would say, of the three series that I've talked about today. And that's going to be Dr. Stone. Dr. Stone ticks a lot of boxes as it's moved into its second season. Do you want science? Do you want action? Do you want comedy, tension, great characters, all in a unique setting? This show has all of that. So the backstory of the show is that a strange sort of wave blew through Earth and petrified all of humanity. Basically, Medusa raided them all. Everyone was turned to stone. Senku, the main character, is a super genius who eventually breaks out of the petrification and begins life in what he dubs the Stone World. So the conflict arises in the series as Senku brings Tsukasa back to protect him and his friend Taiju, who he also restored from a lion. So Tsukasa is kind of the alpha Chad who wants to... He sees the Stone World as like the perfect new... like Earth basically hit a reset button because humanity had become so like evil and tainted with, wars and machine guns and, just all like he's very anti-science in that regard. He wants to keep the Stone World pure and just only bring back children and leave the adults kind of in the wasteland that they created for themselves. Senku, on the other hand, is kind of, he wants to use science to return Earth to the state it was before the petrification wave hit. And again, I don't want to dig too much deeper because I want to avoid spoilers for anyone who does decide to go watch the show. But the series is great in the sense that it's so different from a lot of the popular shows that you would see on any of the, like, what's popular streaming service, like on a streaming service. There's really nothing quite like it. The concept is interesting. It's approachable. The characters are great. And it really is just a great show. And like the other two that I mentioned, it's a really good palate cleanser. Especially, like, I've been keeping up with a lot of the weekly series that are out right now. Attack on Titan, One Piece, Black Clover I've been watching weekly. The Dragon Quest Adventures of Dai I'm watching weekly. Promise Neverland. So there's a lot of great weekly, like, traditional shonen anime out right now. Dr. Stone is kind of like that palate cleanser. When I'm done watching all of my other shows, it kind of just, it refreshes the palate and I'm ready to go back about my Saturday. So Dr. Stone, super, super interesting. A setting and kind of just concept unlike any you'd ever see in any other anime. Another one that I know I've said this 3 times already, but I just can't recommend Dr. Stone enough to somebody who's just getting into anime or somebody looking for something kind of off the beaten path to watch. And so with all of that said, I hope you all consider watching at least one of the 3 shows I pitched in this video. Let me know if you've seen any of the 3 actually in the comments below and what you thought of them. I'd also love some recommendations if you have any anime that you would like me to check out. And also, let me know if you like this style of recommendation video, because there are definitely other genres of, like, sub-genres of anime that I feel like I could do this for, because I have watched a lot of different series and stuff. So if you like this sort of thing and you're always looking for anime recommendations, please let me know. And if you enjoyed, please consider liking the video and subscribing. It really does help the channel grow. Pushing past 11 subscribers now, so it does feel good kind of seeing those views and watch time kind of go up. Thank you all so much for making it to the end of the video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.